Welcome to the Black Anarchist Podcast, a channel where critical thinkers come to learn and grow. Through pedagogical discussions, we challenge the status quo, conventional narratives, and present raw truth. I'm JC, author of the Black State Project, The Path to Sovereignty, Reparations, and Rebuilding Black Wall Street. Today, we're going to discuss the hidden cost of voting, jury duty. Now, I asked AI to generate an image of somebody being forced to serve on jury duty, and it kept basically giving me the same type of images. So I specifically requested that they generate an image of a black man being forced to serve on jury duty, basically just to represent me, right? And of course, that violates AI's guidelines. So I don't understand that it's okay to have an image of a white, it's a black, is I don't know, but apparently, according to AI, oppression only goes one way. Um, I think the entire thing is slavery. But before I even get into that, let me just say something about politicians and this whole electoral process. Because when it is election time, right, they always talk about how you have a civic duty to vote, how if you don't vote, you can't complain, right? They make these false promises and they just tell you to just vote like it's no big deal. Like, oh, it's a one and done, you go vote. No, the after is that vote, you're going to be restricted to serve on jury duty. And this isn't like a one-time thing. It's not that I have a problem with serving on a jury. The problem is that I'm never going to be picked, right? And so what actually happens is they will call me down. I sit in this waiting room for like 4 hours after I took a whole day off work. And then they send me home. So what they do is they overshoot. They call these people down just in case, right? Um, we know that we don't need these people in case, and because we don't have to pay for it, actually losing it. Last time that I've never served on it. I've been called numerous times. Paid me dollars entire day, whatever. They called me. I was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock, and then they let us go home until noon. Paid me dollars. Parking was $10, so I come out of my pocket $2 to pay for serving. Going to pick me. I just had to discuss with my brother because I received notice to serve on a jury to get out of it. The irony, I was trying to help him to get out on it, and I actually talked him into, because he initially didn't want to serve on. Um, I was asking, can I get up? I'm like, well, if they serve, actually, they probably didn't serve you properly, but serve on a jury, then they can actually put you in contempt. You know, a person based on their race or gender, right? And I'm trying to give him this ammunition that if you really don't want to take off work, then you can actually use your. I'm thinking he actually agreed with me. This is my position. I'm an anarchist, so if I ever got picked, I'm going to nullify. I'm going to engage in jury nullification. I'm going to sit there with a straight face and say that I am impartial. But when it comes to the verdict, I'm not going to convict. I don't give it unless it was some type of malignant or like something where somebody was brutally attacked or something like that. If there's a Let me just say this. If there is no victim, I'm absolutely not going to convict. If it's a victimless crime where they just did drugs or even if they ran over the speed limit, I'm not going to convict them because this is not about the individual. This is about how I feel about the system. I know how these attorneys manipulate juries, and uh, they, I think voir dire is completely, I think is absolute bullshit. I don't think that you can get a jury of your peers. I don't think that most people are smart enough to even serve on a jury. Um, I think that because most people are hardcore status, if I were to get a jury of my peers, I would need some anarchists and some libertarians on a jury, but those people are the least likely to actually serve on a jury. So I'm going to be relegated to the mercy of a bunch of statists who are just itching away to throw somebody under the bus. So they're not going to be a jury of my peers. So get back to the story about my brother. So I was just telling him how to get out of it, and then in a process of trying to tell him how he can actually be disqualified. Now, all of a sudden, he's so enthusiastic about wanting to serve on a jury. Why? Because unfortunately, my brother is a sadistic statist. My brother does not agree with anything that I espouse when it comes to anarchy. He actually told me that I should not focus on anarchy. I should focus on calling it freedom or liberty. I don't know. I should focus on a freedom party or something, but he doesn't like the fact that I am explicitly an anarchist because I don't know. I think that the word anarchy has a negative connotation that they don't actually know what it means. I tried to explain to him, but I think he still doesn't agree with it. But um, now that I actually told him, because he didn't even understand how the jury process works, I had to explain to him that just because you receive notice doesn't mean that you're actually on a jury. Like the attorneys decide who gets to serve on a jury. Like they can exclude you for cause, and they have 3 preemptory challenges that both attorneys can say, "Oh, I just don't like this person. I don't like that person," and then the judge decides based on who's left, who gets to serve on a jury. So after I explained all that to him, then he decided, oh, I actually want to serve on a jury because now he sees this as an opportunity to throw somebody under the bus. Oh yeah, I'm so tired of these criminals. I want them to be locked away. So I don't care who it is. I'm not even going to tell y'all the actual verbiage he used. But yeah, this is very telling. This is how a lot of people see it. They look at it as an opportunity. They're not impartial. None of them are impartial. I remember the last time I was doing voir dire for a speeding ticket, and I those jurors were so biased. I asked them, "Do you think that judges are always, do they always follow the law? Are they always fair?" And then one woman said yes, and then I said, "Well, you do realize that judicial opinions get reversed or decisions get reversed on appeal." She said, "Yeah, oh, well, I just mean that they intend to be impartial." I'm like, bullshit. I used one of my peremptory challenges to get her removed. I didn't really, I wasn't really good at it back in the day. Like the mistake that I made was there was an attorney who was actually in the pool, and I excluded her because I thought, well, she was going to be biased in favor of the system. It's actually the opposite. It's actually the opposite. The people who are less um, educated are more likely to be biased because they're going to be swayed by the prosecutor in his fancy suit and his legal uh, mumbo jumbo, right? They're going to get finessed. They're going to do whatever the state wants. Um, I wish I had kept that attorney on the jury. And this is just for a speeding ticket. They refused to dismiss it, and so I had to go to a jury trial. And of course, the jury convicted me. I did get it reversed on appeal, but it was a long, arduous process. Let me just say this. I was so disgusted, and actually after it was over, I was so enraged that and they didn't even give them any type of protection. Like they let me out at the same time they let the jury out. And I'm looking at these people. Um, as enraged as I was, I could have. I'm not going to say I could have easily just walked up to one of them and actually confronted them for what the hell they did. Um, but I took a different approach. I got it reversed on appeal. What I'm gonna get back to the original topic is but they asked you to register to vote, um, and vote for them. And the problem is they're not even going to vote. They're not even going to push your issues, right? I actually was not registered. I lived at a different address, and then when I moved, I did not register to vote, and I was not intending to vote or register to vote. I don't know if I want to throw anybody specific under the bus, but I registered to vote specifically so I could vote for one specific candidate, and I wanted that candidate to advocate for the right to medical assistance in dying. It was mentioned in part of this person's campaign, but this person never discussed it. I don't think I got anything out of it. So I registered to vote. You did not campaign. You're not advocate for dying. And on top of that, you were advocating also was against. So you got what you wanted out of me. But I just wanted some type of advocacy for the issues that support. And I think I got that. So I sacrificed, right? This isn't a one and done that I just went and voted for you. Do these politicians even think about it that you went and voted, and now as a result of voting, now you're going to be constricted to serve on a jam jury duty? So I say that it's slavery. I know the Supreme Court said that it's not slavery because, according to the Supreme Court, it's a civic duty. Bullshit. It's not a civic duty. Even if it is a civic duty, people say that they're against communism. The same reason that they are against healthcare right is because you're constricting healthcare professionals to provide a service that they did not voluntarily agree to, and they may not be justly compensated for. But no, you're going to concede to serve on a jury, and you're going to say it's my civic duty. So that is communism to be communist. Again, you need to be anti-communist across the board. The attorneys are being justly compensated for their time. The court reporter, the court coordinator, the judge, the bailiff, everybody's being compensated. Okay, let me just clarify something. So if you actually do get selected to serve on a jury, then you will be compensated minimum wage, right? But if they just call you down and they just waste your time and send you home, no, all you get is $8 for your entire day after you took a whole day off work. And meanwhile, you may have already given your employer advance notice that, oh, I may not be in for work this entire week because I don't know whether they're actually going to select me. I think that's complete bullshit. You're actually punishing me. I think it has punitive effects that you're punishing me for voting. Everyone tells you to vote, but they never think about the aftermath. Some people can't afford to take days off work to go serve on a jury. And then you want to make it so simple and be glib about it to say that, oh, you just don't care. You just giving up. Oh, you're just lazy. You're apathetic. No, even though I did vote, I didn't get anything out of it. When people do vote, they don't actually want you to vote your conscience, right? They want you to vote the politician who they want. So I'm going to serve on and have to lose wages, and then you want me to waste my vote to serve your ends that, oh, I don't actually like this candidate personally because this person, Kamala Harris, doesn't support medical assistance in dying, but I should vote for her anyway because it's going to make you happy and I get nothing out of it. No, that's not how this is going to work. And then y'all going to browbeat people when they didn't vote the way that you wanted them, but you told them to vote. So elections have consequences. If they voted for somebody who you don't like, then suck it up, buttercup. That's how the electoral process works. This is why I don't support democracy, by the way, because it is majoritarian. So anybody who supports democracy, you don't get to sit up and whine and cry because Donald Trump was elected by the electoral process and the popular vote, by the way. Elections have consequences. It is what it is. You told people to vote, and then the outcome just wasn't favorable to you, right? Let me see if there's anybody here. You should tweet jury duty is communism. Well, I don't. People think about it because I guess what it is that they don't value your labor, and so because they don't have to pay for it, and because they don't respect you as a citizen, which I guess I don't have any regard for a citizen anyway. A citizen is a slave, a subject to the state. Um, they don't care because the attorney's labor is the attorney is charged $100 an hour or whatever he is. Uh, public the the state prosecutor or the district attorney, they're getting a salary, right? They're getting a six-figure salary, and meanwhile they just assume that you're just working at McDonald's or wherever, and so your labor doesn't count, right? Never mind the fact that if you do work at McDonald's, then you can't afford to take. Well, I guess it probably is a trade off because if you work minimum wage, you're getting minimum wage on a jury. But if you work at Walmart or something, and let's say you are making $16 an hour, you're losing a lot of money by serving on a jury. Like you need that money, and you're losing potential overtime. It's not just your straight wages, but you're potentially losing on time and a half, and because a lot of Americans are one paycheck away from economic ruin. Serving on a jury can actually ruin you. It can actually cause you to not be able to afford your rent. But no, they're not going to reform the system so that you actually are justly compensated for serving on a jury, right? No, if they actually had to pay people just for calling them down, which I think they should, um, even when you summon somebody to be a witness, you have to pay them for that. Um, like a subpoena, when you issue a subpoena, they're entitled to compensation for that. But no, you get to summon me as a juror, and then I'm supposed to just be happy. And the flip side is that if I'm not happy, if I am lamenting the fact that I was forced to be here at gunpoint under threat of physical force, what kind of juror do you think I'm going to? I mean, what kind of juror do you think I'm going to be? Do you think I'm going to be impartial? No, I don't want to be here. I want to go to work. And if you force me to be here against my will, then I'm going to make sure that you pay for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to convict even a clearly guilty defendant. I'm going to engage in jury nullification. Thank you so much for that. So I don't think people think about how serious it is when they tell people to register to vote. That essentially, just by registering to vote, that is how they determine their jury pools by voter registration. So what you're essentially saying is you're going to potentially lose a week or two of wages just so that you're going to be browbeaten into supporting a candidate who you don't actually want, right? Because they want you to vote for who they want you to vote for. And they assume that if you vote, then it's going to go out, it's going to go in their favor. No, if I vote, I'm not going to vote for who you want because I don't agree with their policy positions, right? It's not because, oh, this is a woman, this is a black person. I don't give a shit about any of that. I care about their public policies. If you don't, and in this last election, I was a single issue voter. I voted specifically on, well, my top issue was the right to medical assistance in dying, which nobody gave a shit about, by the way. It wasn't a part of anybody's actual campaign, but there was a questionnaire where they asked people about that. Trump did say that he would support it with a mental health evaluation. Jill Stein supported it with a mental health evaluation. Kamala Harris did not support it under any circumstance. So hell no, I wasn't going to vote for Kamala Harris. I don't give a shit what she was going to do. And really, let me just say this. For all the people who are lamenting the fact that Donald Trump is in office and he's affecting some authoritarian policy, I'm going to say tough shit. I think that you absolutely deserve it. I don't, even though I'm going to be negatively affected by his policies also. I don't give a shit. I think that American people deserve everything that they're getting. They have become extremely apathetic. They sat on their asses. That when other people were being screwed over and being oppressed, they didn't care. Now all of a sudden, the oppression is right in your face. Now you can't ignore it. You think that this shit started with Donald Trump? You think that other people weren't miserable before? No. And now all of a sudden, you think somebody's supposed to care because it affects you. No, some of us have been miserable for a very long time. Some of us have our state of and they gave a shit. Actually, give a shit. You give if Biden was in office, if Kamala was in office, if Obama was in office, you would be happy as a pig and shit, even though some of us are being oppressed. You don't give a shit. You don't have any empathy for us. So I think that you deserve everything that's coming. You deserve the economic collapse. You deserve the devaluation of the U.S. dollar. You deserve to be rounded up. You deserve to have your First Amendment rights stripped from you. You deserve all this shit. You completely brought it on yourself. And now maybe you'll be galvanized to actually care when oppression is happening. Don't wait until it's at your doorstep. Listen when other people are telling you that they're being oppressed, because y'all were happy as a pig and shit, and now all of a sudden you want somebody to feel sorry for you. No, now there's weeping and gnashing of the teeth, and you absolutely brought it on yourself. Don't give us some weak ass candidate like Kamala Harris, who supports genocide in Gaza, who doesn't support medical assistance in dying, who supports mass incarceration and think we're supposed to choose the lesser of two evils. No, let me just say this. I just got conscripted to serve on jury. I probably could file a motion to quash. I actually did that before. I actually filed a motion to quash, and I argued that it was slavery. It is apparently this angered the presiding judge, and he decided to retaliate against me. What did he do? He, I guess he ordered them to send me another notice, but it wasn't. It wasn't within a normal time frame. It was like within a few days that I had to appear for jury duty, and I went up there, and then they said, "Oh, we don't have any notice that you're supposed to be here for jury." This is what I'm telling y'all. Y'all think that when I talk about anarchy, y'all think I'm just talking about bullshit. No, I have engaged with public officials in a direct way, and I have seen the way that they use their power to retaliate against me when I buck up against the system. So what he did is essentially he gave them he ordered them to give me a false jury summons, even though there was nothing in the system, because he knew I was going to have to take off work and go down there. And then when I go up there, they say, "Oh, there is no notice. You don't have to be here." So this judge was pissed off that I filed a motion to quash the jury summons, and then he decided to retaliate. This isn't the first time this has happened to me. I have been retaliated against by the Attorney General, by the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, and other local officials. This happens to me all the time. They don't play by the rules. They don't follow the law. You think that I come to this decision lightly to be an anarchist? No, I know how they use their power to effectuate their personal grievances against people who they think get out of line. And I have been in their crosshairs many times. So no, I'm not going to support that shit. Because you guys don't see it, because you don't care. Even if I were to tell you the gory details about how they have. Let me see if I have any more comments. So I don't know. I think that if you are going to have to serve on a jury, they shouldn't have to be, excuse me, they should be allowed to call you just in case. They shouldn't be allowed to overshoot and call people down, knowing good and well that they're not going to actually serve, and then you have to take a whole day off work, and then you get sent home. I think it is slavery, even though Supreme Court said it's not slavery. If you have to work without compensation, that is slavery. It is objectively slavery. The definition of slavery is working without compensation. So you don't get to get around that by saying it's a civic duty. It's not a civic duty. Like I said, I'm going to unregister to vote, and I'm not going to be voting in any more elections because I never get what I want anyway. Moreover, the politicians who you actually do vote for, they don't appreciate it anyway. They're not going to deliver on their promises. They're going to use this as their personal platform to push their own agenda. They're not going to represent their actual constituents. Even for a third-party candidate, they're going to push their own agenda. When you have your own constituents telling you that they don't support open borders, and then you're going to advocate for it anyway because that is your personal bias. No, I'm not voting for you, and I'm not going to be participating in this dog and pony show in the future. when y'all elect these officials, when you participate in the democratic process, then you get what you get. If you get Donald Trump, if you get a dictator, then it doesn't matter whether you voted for him. You participated in the system, in this majority rule. So by participating in the system, so I just hope people understand the real consequences of registering to vote. It's not just going down to the polls for that one day. It's potentially losing a week or two of wages. It's you got to pay for childcare. You have to arrange your entire schedule. And even let's say you don't have to. Let's say you don't have to take off after serving on a jury all night. I mean, all day. You're going to lose sleep. You're going to be exhausted. Any plans that you had are going to have to be cut short. And you don't think that you're entitled to compensation for that? I think it is communism. I think it's slavery. I don't. I don't think that it's constitutional. I don't think. I think it should be voluntary because you can't actually force someone to serve on a jury, right? If I don't want to serve on a jury, I'm going to get stricken for cause anyway. I can easily get out of it, but what I can't get out is that I have to actually go up there and then try to get fight my way out of it. But you have already wasted my time, and I am entitled to just compensation for my time, just like anybody else. So when you register to vote, you're not just choosing a candidate. You are voluntarily conscripting yourself to years of potential slavery as a juror. And politicians need to acknowledge it. They need to actually have more respect for the fact that you went out of your way to vote for them. They're not entitled to your vote. Um, they need to actually reciprocate by delivering on their campaign promises, by respecting the will of the people. And so I'm just not going to vote anymore because I just don't believe in a democratic process. Um, Maybe if I'm able to pull off this Black State project when I can have a democratic system that I actually support, that actually makes sense, that where I'm not a minority begging for crumbs, then maybe I can vote then. But under this current framework, I just can't support it. So thank you for listening to the Black Anarchist podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The struggle is real and the fight for liberation is far from over. Get sovereign or die trying. Wait. I'm sorry. I just saw this comment. You said the audio keeps going in and out. I hope y'all were able to hear that because I said a lot. Are you okay with staying in the state you live in? I'm not okay with it, but currently I don't think that I have any options economically. I have a job. I have a mortgage. I can't just pick up and just move to another state. Um, no, I'm not okay. I don't. I hate the state of Texas. I hate the government here, but financially, I can't just pick up and move. So, unless my financial changes change, I just can't move. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. Unless there are any other questions. Has anyone protest jury duty by notifying? Well, I don't know because if they were nullifying the jury, they wouldn't say it. You get selected for a jury and then you just vote against the other jurors. You can get a hung jury. So nobody's ever going to admit that they are engaging in jury nullification. I wouldn't say it because if I said that I was doing it, then they would just remove me from the jury. But no, if I get selected, I'm going to nullify. Um, I guess I've been wanting to do another video live stream about jury nullification, but I hope y'all understand what jury nullification is. They say you're supposed to be impartial. You agree to be impartial, but when it actually comes down to issue a verdict, You're not impartial because you're not just voting based on the actual defendant. You're nullifying the entire system that you don't agree with it. So, um, you're basically giving the middle finger to the prosecutor and the state. So, um, right, nobody can be completely partial. The fact that you believe in this oppressive system, the fact that you are a statist and you believe that these laws are legitimate in and of itself means that you're not impartial. Um, right. I never consented to this shit. So how are you impartial that you just and gosh, I was supposed to end this live stream, but the other part is the jury is not even entitled to hear all the information, right? Under common law, the jury was the trier of facts and a law. But under this current system, the jury is only entitled to be entitled. They're the trier of facts, not the law, which means that the judge is the actual decider, even in a jury trial. So if the jury does issue a verdict which the judge doesn't believe comports with the law, the judge can actually issue a judgment notwithstanding the verdict, which means that the judge can actually override the jury. They rarely do this, but the judge does have that power. The attorneys constantly engage in whispering, right? You'll see them, they approach the bench and they're whispering to the judge because they don't want the jury to hear all the facts. So things that maybe they think is presidential or things that are not admissible under evidence, the jury is not going to hear that. So the jury is not hearing all the facts. The jury does not have all the information. They're supposed to make a decision based on the limited scope that is given to them. And I don't think that is fair. I think the jury should be able to hear everything. Thank you. Yeah, well, like I said, I need to do a separate live stream to talk about this entire jury system. I have a lot to say about it. I think it's absolute bullshit. I think that it's rigged. I don't have, I used to think that a jury would be a way to get yourself vindicated, but no, the jurors are complete idiots. They're not intelligent. They are easily manipulated. Um, and a lot of them are enthusiastic about throwing their common man under the bus. So my brother is Exhibit A. My brother wants to serve on a jury so that he can throw somebody under the bus. This is the way a lot of people think. They never think, I mean, they never think, oh, that could be me next week, and I want somebody to have empathy for me. No, they are so enthusiastic about screwing somebody over. It makes them feel powerful. They don't want to fight up. They want to punch down. I get to look at this person. I mean, they're not going to. This is the way their minds think. They identify. They have Stockholm syndrome, right? They identify with the judge and the prosecutor more than they identify with somebody who's actually in their same shoes. So, they are disgusting human beings. They are a threat to democracy. I'm not going to say democracy. They are a threat to freedom. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not just the state. The everyday common man is complicit in our oppression. So I don't trust them. In the future, I probably wouldn't even request a jury duty. I would probably request a bench trial because on appeal, the way the appellate courts look at it, if you were convicted by a jury of your so-called peers, that has more weight than you being convicted by a judge. So they're even more likely to they're more unlikely to revert, excuse me. They're less likely to reverse your trial decision if you were convicted by a jury of your peers. If it was a bench trial, they're more likely to entertain it. But if it's a jury, they're going to say, oh, well, you had a fair chance. It doesn't matter what the law is. They're going to say that you had your one shot. And I think even appealing is a waste of time. You have to spend all this money on these fees, and you file an appellate brief, and you do all this research, and then they just affirm it with a short paragraph, no detailed explanation. You don't even necessarily get an oral argument. You just get an order in the mail saying that they have affirmed the lower court's decision. So I'm not doing this shit. I'm not participating in this dog and pony show. That's why when that man jumped over the chambers, I mean, and he attacked that judge, kudos to him. You are a noble savage. That is your last resort. People say, "Oh, you could have appealed." No, you were no, you were not going to get any different outcome by appealing. So the fact that you have jumped over and attacked that judge, I completely support. I think that guy's a hero. I think he's a hero more than the so-called vigilante who shot the CEO. The CEO of that healthcare company does not have any systemic power. Judges do. Judges are they are engaging in active violence. Their court orders are acts of violence because they are enforced through threat of physical force. Right, Mario. Um, right. So anyway, that's my rant for today. Um, I gotta go and serve. Well, I'm not going to actually serve on a jury because they're not going to pick me, but I gotta at least appear. Um, but you know what? If they're foolish enough to put me on a damn jury, it's going to be to their it's going to be to their demise because I'm not going to convict unless this person engaged in some kind of heinous crime. There's no way in hell I'm going to convict. It is what it is, and maybe you'll think twice about forcing me to serve on your damn jury. All of them are biased. All of them are biased. This entire system is rigged. I have no faith in the judiciary. That's why you guys need to read my pamphlet, the Black State Project, because I have solutions for all this stuff. Um, you're not going to reform the entire system on a national level, but you can reform a state. And we really need to start from somewhere. I'm not going to participate in this facade, in this dog and pony show. I just did a live stream about it yesterday, and I posted it in the description. I mean, I only got like a handful of people listening, but it's called the Black State Project, and I've done several live streams about it. So go back and listen to some of my old live streams because I've posted it several times. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up. I thought everybody was aware of this. No, I don't. It's not available until the 19th, but it is already online. Okay, I'm pulling it up for those of you who. Gosh, this is not even. I don't want to hold you guys because I wasn't expecting anybody to ask for it. But since you asked, this is a project that I'm calling for mass migration to the state of Mississippi um, to basically take over the state of Mississippi. Here we go. Oh gosh. I just showed y'all too much information. I didn't mean to show y'all that. The Black State Project, the path to sovereignty, reparations, and rebuilding Black Wall Street. Um, so I can post it in the description if you're interested, but it's not available until the 19th. So um, hopefully that answers your question. Once I'm done with this live stream, I'm going to post it in the description. So thank y'all for supporting me. I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream.